Assalamu alaikum. Dogecoin is a cryptocurrency that started off as a joke and spread organically because of its simplicity, its low cost of entry, and the most powerful force in online marketing, which are memes. As it relates to Dogecoin, I think many commenters actually suffer from something called prudency bias. Prudency bias is where when you're faced with a situation wherein being optimistic and bullish and wrong is going to make you seem silly, but being conservative and bearish and wrong is justifiable, people tend to go with the bearish outlook even if they're convinced otherwise. And I think because Dogecoin started as a joke and just a meme token, commenters are swayed to go with the very bearish outlook, because if they go with the bullish outlook and they're wrong, it's going to seem like they were being very foolish. I've heard some commenters argue that Dogecoin is a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, its price is simply a function of the greater fool dynamic, wherein the only reason anyone buys any Dogecoin is because they think that a greater fool is going to come along and buy it from them for an even higher price than what they paid for it. And while I may understand why people may think this, I think they're wrong. In fact, in this video, I'm going to tell you why I think Dogecoin has an advantage compared to Bitcoin when it comes to its ability to function as a medium of exchange. And before I start, if you're enjoying the content of this channel and you appreciate the content that we create on practical-islamic-finance.com, consider supporting the channel through our Buy Me a Coffee page. We will be beefing up the membership perks consistently, so keep an eye out on that. Link to our Buy Me a Coffee page is in the description of this video. Also consider leaving a like and subscribe for more content like this. So as it relates to Dogecoin's advantage compared to Bitcoin, what I'm referring to here is the monetary policy of Dogecoin compared to Bitcoin. We all know the monetary policy of Bitcoin, right? There's a cap on the number of Bitcoins that can ever be created. That cap is 21 million tokens. And this is a welcome relief from the monetary policy of traditional currencies, because those currencies could be manipulated in terms of their supply by the issuing banks, which devalues the holdings of whoever is using those currencies and storing their purchasing power in them. And usually this devaluation has nothing to do with serving the well-being of the holders of the currency. So now finally with Bitcoin, you have a asset wherein you can store your purchasing power, and this asset is designed so that it is incorruptible. So Bitcoin solved a really big problem that the world had with its ability to store purchasing power over time.
How is it going to function as a store of value? It's so volatile in terms of its price.
Keep in mind, Bitcoin is a relatively new asset. It's still maturing. If you look at its volatility over time, that volatility is decreasing, and I expect this trend to continue. Investing isn't about just seeing what's happening in front of us. Anyone can do that. Investing is about forecasting the future. And I think with Bitcoin, you're going to see it mature into an asset that holds its value relatively well over time with relatively little volatility. As some predict, I really think it will become the digital version of gold. However, what it will not become is a medium of exchange. And this is why I think it will not become a medium of exchange. In order to function as a medium of exchange, people have to be willing to part with their Bitcoin. However, since the supply of Bitcoin is capped, it's designed to always appreciate in price. So people aren't willing to part with their Bitcoin. They store their purchasing value in it. But in a transaction, it's very hard to part with a currency or an asset that you think is going to go up in price. The ideal currency is a currency that maintains its purchasing power over time. So neither inflation nor deflation is expected. And this is where I think the creators of Dogecoin got it right. Dogecoin started out with 100 billion tokens, and every 12 months it adds another 5 billion tokens. So this means that there is some inflation with Dogecoin, but that inflation is decreasing with time. When there was 100 billion tokens in circulation and you add 5 billion tokens to that 100 billion tokens, the inflation rate is 5%. However, today, because there's 130 billion tokens in circulation, adding 5 billion tokens will cause inflation that is less than 5%. And in every year moving forward, the inflation rate will continue to decrease. Many people hear that there are additional Dogecoins created all the time, and they just say, oh, the supply is unlimited, so it shouldn't really have any value. And although it is technically true that the supply of Dogecoin is unlimited, when you consider that the added tokens every 12 months is actually capped, and what that means in terms of a declining inflation rate, I think you may reconsider. I created this table to show you how Dogecoin's inflation rate is expected to decrease through the year 2030. You can see from the column showing the inflation rate that there is a very moderate inflation level that is expected, and it is superior to most traditional currencies, not only because it is less than the inflation level of most traditional currencies, but it's also a lot more predictable. So I'm able to tell you what the inflation rate for Dogecoin is going to be 5 years from now, with a relatively high level of confidence in my prediction. And it is because of this inflation rate and knowing that more Dogecoins are created all the time, that people will be more willing, I think, to part with their tokens of Dogecoin than they would be parting with their Bitcoin. And now I'll admit that currently neither token is suited to serve as a medium of exchange, because in the short term, while their adoption rates are rising, they are expected to increase dramatically in price. So people are basically holding either Dogecoin or Bitcoin, not for their abilities to buy goods and services with them, but as an investment. However, long term, when the adoption of crypto is more near maturity, Bitcoin, I think, will continue to trend upwards in price, albeit at a much slower rate. Whereas I predict Dogecoin's price will level out when the growth in its usage matches the growth in its inflation rate, which is a point in the future which I think we are relatively far from today. The small amount of real-world experimentation with Dogecoin and other cryptocurrencies confirms my hypothesis about using Dogecoin as a medium of exchange. Recently, billionaire Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban said his NBA team has generated substantial merchandise revenue in Dogecoin after accepting it as payment back in March. The next day, Tesla CEO Elon Musk backed Cuban's statements about Dogecoin being a solid medium of exchange. So the next time someone tells you that Dogecoin is just a meme coin with no potential utility, I'd share with them this video. Having said this, this video is just my opinion. It's not meant to be investment advice. Make sure to do your own due diligence. I hope you liked this video. If you did, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe for more content like it. Consider supporting us through our Buy Me a Coffee link in the description, and keep an eye out on our memberships and the increasing perks that we're adding there. Consider becoming a member, and until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be upon you all.